Hi. We're gonna do something a little different today. I'm being led to craft with you. So, here we go. In that same vein, I am being led to make a stretchy bracelet, if I can, using, and if not, then like a strung like one, but ideally a stretchy one, using Sodalite and Tiger Eye. Yeah, I won't get to be stretchy, that would have been ideal, but I have to use them. I'm being led. I say that I have to, but it's because I feel very strongly, to the extent that I'm like, yeah, have to. But I'm being led to combine those two things specifically. And I do have Sodalite beads, but they are very tiny. They are 3.5 millimeters, which is that small. So they only accommodate specific, what's the word I'm trying to use? Specific holes? Strings? Anyway, who needs a proper thought process when you can have a cat trying to get into your craft bag thinking he's going to get away with it? I tell you what, this cat is actually like my 11-year-old son. He's just like exactly what you would think an 11-year-old boy would be like. It's both incredible and terrifying. Yes, only certain strings can be used for that particular size, and so we are just gonna have to use the strings that accommodate that particular size. And I only have non-stretchy string. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing okay. I was looking up the combination, and because I was like, why Sodalite and Tiger Eye? And essentially it's because it's supposed to help with anyone who's supposed to be making speeches. For some reason I'm hearing that I'm hearing throat chakra. I don't really deal with that in like most of my videos. I don't really have anything like that I talk about, but this time I'm being led. Yeah, my ear's ringing. Oh wow. Yeah, you gotta do some clearing and some cleansing, and it's gotta come from, like, I literally, as I'm saying it, my ear is popping and ringing and my throat feels like it's draining. That's great. Okay, so yeah, obviously we're on the right track here. So yeah, I'm just gonna make this, and yeah, you'll just see that happen, and we'll just chat while I do that. I'm also just gonna talk to you about what comes to mind while I make this this bracelet for you. But first, let me put shit back. So, like I said, I hope you guys have been doing okay. I've been kind of on my own little journey, as it were. Of like trusting my impulses, and my nudges. Once upon a time I was a kid, and so, like, you know, trusting impulses, you know, isn't something that they typically recommend to children, or religious adults for that matter. But it was still important for me to be able to do. and to learn and to develop. And so, ultimately grateful that I was able to do some relatively safe trial and errors to get to a place where I'm able to say, yeah, I trust my impulses and I trust my instincts. They're both very valid. Why am I saying that to you? Like, it feels like I'm supposed to share that with you, and I don't. Yeah, it's like, I get that people are afraid. You know, I understand that it's so easy to get wrapped up in, you know, the fear of the unknown, like these other people that are, I feel like, discouraging you from speaking up and speaking out for yourself. Is there fear in the room? That's their fear in the room. And I think sometimes people are so afraid that it's offensive when other people aren't afraid with them. Not knowing that, like, fear is supposed to be an emotion that you take action toward and for. Fear isn't supposed to be a lifestyle. Fear isn't supposed to be a lifestyle. And to be honest with you, I suspect that I am preaching to the choir. And you already know this, and that is why you are being led to start speaking up for yourself. From personal experience, I know how difficult it can be to be the only person in the room that is not afraid. When I started my spiritual journey, I was super, super terrified. And this is like years and years before this most recent and prominent spiritual path. When I first started my spiritual journey, it was like quite a long time ago. And it was very simple. My simple request from the divine was, you know, find me a job anywhere that I go, and I will give you back your 10%. I will be faithful in that. And I did that for a while, and I know for a fact that the only reason why I was able to get jobs, and especially jobs that let me take off on the Saturday, you know, Friday night through Saturday night, like most retail places wouldn't, I knew beyond shadow of a doubt it was divine intervention. And I was faithfully giving back to the Adventist church 10%. And like a little 5% offering, even when I was not managing my money very well and I was overdrafting my account. I would give it. So then, I am essayed living in Kansas City. Someone that I was seeing that refused to acknowledge my boundaries and then proceeded to stalk me until I moved away eventually. And I was already set to move away, so it was just like boom, 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 like nothing but the divine. And yet, why would the divine let this happen to me, you know? It was just circumstances like, you know, hey, I just want to watch a movie, I don't want to do anything, like I'm not feeling well, you know, I'm taking this parasite cleanse, and, you know, I'm not interested in doing anything physical. You know, I'm very, and then I'm super honest about it too. I'm like, you know, so sorry, I had to take my tummy pill. Anyway, so I even sent like my boundaries in text. I had said that I was, you know, unwell. My mom and I were doing a parasite cleanse together, and it was pretty rough. Like, I don't know that I had any business doing that. I don't believe I had parasites to cleanse, but in solidarity, I did. And it, you know, did the things it said it was going to do, you know, everything that it was warned, you know, you're very weak, you're very tired, you're gonna be in the bathroom, all that, and it kind of happened. And I had, you know, I had said all of this to this person, you know, we weren't officially like some kind of couple, we didn't have a title or name for it, but, you know, we were going on dates, and I had, you know, repeatedly, I had run-ins with boundaries and public space stuff, and it just started feeling a lot like jungle fever, and so, you know, I was already kind of feeling uncomfortable, but I agreed to go on this date, and in exchange, I just wanted to watch a movie, you know, perfectly normal, reasonable date request. I'm not feeling well. At the time, I had a really crappy phone, like, if it wasn't sitting on a charger, it was gonna die. Battery was bad, it wasn't an iPhone, I don't know what the hell phone it was, and, I fall asleep on the way to his house. We end up in the middle of nowhere, and it was survival. Anyway, so then, you know, I didn't know, and now I feel like I took advantage of you, and then it was showing up at my job without letting me know, and then that's I think the next day when he showed up at my job, because it was just, I was in a daze, I was confused, I was ill, I was listless, I was barely awake, you know, I had just kind of planned to relax, and I got back home, he drove me back home, kissed me on the forehead, I took a shower, I remember just taking a shower because I was confused, just completely confused. I was trying to find how this happened and how it was my fault, because I already knew that that's the conversation that people have with people like me and many others who have the audacity to feel safe in the company of someone that they're seeing romantically. So I was dazed, confused, took a shower. And then, like, the next day I get to work, and again, still dazed, still confused, and he shows up. And it was on some, like, I just wanted to check on you. And it was at that moment, the realization dawned on me. Oh, this person, like, you know, and then the red flags start coming in. Like, this person, when I first met them, had said to me, like, you know, girls just keep ghosting me. And I don't know why, and I thought that was appalling. I'm like, why? Like, why wouldn't you just give someone an explanation, you know? And at the, you know, I'm in my, like, early mid-20s. No. Oh my god. I was, like, approaching 21. I was 20 at the time. So, like, 12 years ago. And it was at that moment at my job that I realized, like, this person is checking on me. And it just, ugh. So, I say all that to say, it's hard to speak up when you know, when you just already know. And, like, one of the first people I told, you know, who wasn't my family, which, like, listen, if you have a family anything like mine, Caribbean ride or dies, like, just tell your family. If you don't have trusted blood relatives, like, find your found family, you know, talk to someone. I'm not gonna sit up here on a high horse and say, you know, go to the authorities, fight, you know, do it all, because, like, I know what they've done to us, and so talk to somebody. And I know that's hard. I know that's hard. I have been essayed since I was a child, just throughout my life. And it was hard for me then, it was hard for me in my 20s to talk, because usually one of the first people I told would try to run me through all of the ways in which I misinterpreted what happened to me. just making sure that I am not here slandering this other person, who to that other person, to the person I'm confiding in, this person who hurt me was great to them. They could never imagine. And that has happened throughout my life many, many times. I think one of the things that hurt me the most about my life and what I offered the world versus what I got a lot in my younger years was that, if anyone told me, like, this happened to me, and especially as I was in my late teens, early 20s, like, even against my own dad, people would come to me and I would be ready to go to the jail, ready to do, everything and for the person and advocate for them, and somehow it would fall through. But then when the tables were turned, I was the one who needed to double check and make sure. And so there's a lot of stuff happening against women and children, feminine energies and child energies. The patriarch has really done a number on a lot of femininity in childhood, and I think that the interesting thing about it is it's imploding on itself. It's imploding on itself because all energies exist within us, and it is up to us to nurture all of those parts of ourselves. Patriarchy is just erasing everything but one thing about you. And if you can't, because the powers that be say you can't, then you have to co-sign and accommodate those who can. So it's like a ladder rung that not even the people perpetrating this can even climb. When it's all said and done, they fail every time. Because usually what happens is it's all fun and games until you start having to compromise the very things that your so-called foundations were built on. Things like privatized education, or, and this is coming from someone who literally went to private school in high school, privatized education, or inaccessible education. There's a lot of self-hate involved in it. Obviously religion plays a part. And so, like, when you think about it, it's not sustainable for them either. Like, they can't maintain this in any way. Not actually. They start making excuses for themselves. They start becoming an outlier. They start believing that they're more set apart. So then the ladder gets taller and taller. Like, it can't just be that you're a cis white male. You also have to have physical features that accommodate. You also have to have income bracket that accommodates. You have to, have this type of voice and speech pattern. You have to spout this rhetoric specifically. And so it just gets narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower. The higher up the rung of the ladder you go until those kinds of people are alone. Which is why the only reason why it feels like there's so many of them is because there is loneliness there. So they have to go and infect other people. No one naturally wants to harm themselves, femininity, and children. It's completely unnatural to feel that way. It that desire and behavior comes from trauma, the infection of trauma. And the main people who perpetuate the trauma are the very people at the top by themselves, wondering how to get other people to join them. And it starts off small. I was spanked. I turned out all right. And then it becomes justifiable to violate someone's consent. But you have to get to a place where you follow unattainable rules, and then eventually you break all of them because they stop applying to you after a while. Sodalite and Tiger Eye. I'll post what I found in the description. I think it's an interesting conversation to have. Like, who gave permission for harm of others? Because, I mean, deeper than that, living, breathing beings shouldn't be justifying the harm of any other living, breathing being. And I struggle because I do eat meat, and there's a part of me that's just like, but animals, damn. Possibly because I have a cat now and I just couldn't imagine it, but you know, we'll see where my brain takes me. I'm on the fence about a lot of things at the moment, so I'm just exploring all of my options. But living, breathing beings should baseline have the right to exist in harmony, in love and harmony with the natural world, I think, as radical as that seems. And I think that when others experience any type of scarcity, whether it's the scarcity of people not taking care of them, or the scarcity of people not taking care of them, or the scarcity of not being able to take care of others, it turns into a take attitude. Like, somewhere along the line, you stop asking permission because no one's gonna do it but you. And there's a lot of healing that needs to occur in people's lives. A lot of healing. Because, like, it sucks that other people are in pain, but it will never give anyone the right to perpetuate it to others. It just won't. And it's a hard conversation to have with people who feel at a certain point entitled to some form of retribution, whether that be, you know, getting justice, which you're entitled to when people harm you, but also perpetuating it to others, like blaming an entire race of people for all of your problems, knowing damn well that, like, it's not true. Or any group of people. Let's not even say race. Any group of people. And you blame the one group of people for their own problems. You know? Like that. It deserves a fight, but when you have involvement in the issue and don't want to take responsibility for it, that's when things are a bit tricky. Because, like, at that point, certain people should feel lucky that worse isn't being asked of, you know? As an SA survivor, as an SA thriver, I have a lot of resentment toward those people that harmed me in that way. That's the truth. But there is not a snowball's chance in hell that I would ever wish that kind of harm on even them. So when other people are eager to be excited about those things, it does give me a little bit of pause. Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. That's the most subtle way that I can say that I do kind of judge people for that. I do kind of judge. Truly, I could never. I actually had one of my ex's new girlfriends actually tell me in a fit of anger that I deserved it. And oddly by then I had, you know, been in therapy and just kind of was like more feeling betrayed that, you know, this person disclosed my personal information, but less so that she said it. It wasn't like, joke's on you, bitch. Clearly only one of us tried to do a healing journey. You know, I wasn't angry about it, but it was just kind of like, what a thing to say when you're upset, you know, about anything, which she had no right to be upset. That was the best part, like, home slice. But she was, you know, like, she didn't have much of a right, but she's a human being, so I guess. And it just, but it's, you know, it just sticks with you sometimes. Like, man, what a thing to say to another person. That horrendous things that they had absolutely no right happening to them was deserved because you're upset about things that have absolutely nothing to do with the person you're saying evil things to. You're just insecure and scared, right? So, insecurity and fear, that's not a place to stay. It's super, super important that people take the time that they need to heal from their trauma and their wounds, because the more you let things fester, the more responsive you are to everything that looks, feels, and radiates an unsafe environment. And while it is relatively healthy to have a healthy fear response at things that are not safe, it is not healthy to not find the conclusion, find the conclusion to it, heal past it, and instead put that responsibility on others. That's ancient behavior. I encourage all of you, as many of you as possible, to really invest in yourself in that way, in that kind of way, that scary way, by the way, because it's gotten to the point in my journey where like people, you know, talk about what's happening in the world and in the news and in politics and even just, you know, local fucked up serial killer things. It's just like, you know, oh my gosh, the world is so bad, it's getting so bad, and I'm just like, it feels like I'm watching the same global horror story over and over again. And I also see hope written throughout it. I even see hope written in the very tools that patriarchy uses. Because patriarchy is just a bastardization of the divine connection. Patriarchy is a bastardization of divine connection. Damn. Damn. That wasn't me. That wasn't me. So I have to sit with that. Patriarchy is just a bastardization of divine connection. I think the moral of this video is really simple. Just speak your truth. Don't let anybody slow you down. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to show it to you. The Sodalite beads are blue. Tiger eye are the big pieces, and in between are glass. And I added like a cute little star charm since it feels a little bit more celestially themed. It's a pretty big bracelet, so this might be for someone with bigger wrists. I don't know. Speak your truth. It's time to talk. It's time for others to listen. I'm very proud of you, by the way, for getting where you've gotten, for surviving the way you've survived. I hate that it had to happen, but you didn't let that stop you, and that's fucking badass. This is what I'm gathering. Speak your truth. Even if your throat feels like it's draining liquid and your ears are ringing and your stomach flips and you're confused and scared, do it anyway. Stand up to the bastards. Because you will win. They are alone. You are not. I love you.